Hello and welcome to the third and the Don Football Show. I am Joe. With me is Cecil as always. We're back after week two. Going to have some interesting thoughts about the week two games and preview the week three games. Cecil, you were at the Bengals game this weekend. We'll get into the breakdown of the analytics of it or the analysis of it, but, are you the bad luck charm?
I am not. I think I have a lifetime record for the Bengals. I think I am 8-3
All right.
overall. So we have a winning record. We win twice as many games as they lose. My brother was at the game though, traveling from New York, and his all-time record is probably about 5-20. So he is definitely a bad luck charm. He somehow owns season tickets, and he should just stay away. But other than that, I'm doing well. A lot of my parlays hit this weekend, so my Bengals may be doing horribly right now, but at least sports gambling is going off to a good start here.
There's always something to keep you going.
There's always something.
It's even when everything, all your hobbies don't feel the same, and everything seems dark and gloomy. There's always something to keep you guys going.
Gambling.
That's how it is. All right, so we have some recaps to do, and Cease, we're going to get this started with the crazy Thursday night game with the Vikings and the Eagles. This is quite possibly one of the craziest games that ended up with a backdoor cover for the Vikings. If you're a gambling fan out there like we are, they lost four fumbles. The Vikings did throughout the game. We found out that Alexander Madison is not very good. Kirk Cousins actually played well in prime time. That was pretty good. He's able to bring him back 364 yards and four touchdowns. It's pretty good for him in prime time. We have DeAndre Swift getting all the carries because Kenneth Gainwell is out. So a lot of people had DeAndre Swift, maybe didn't start him even though Kenneth Gainwell was out. You probably feel stupid right now. And then you have AJ Brown, despite the Eagles winning, blowing up on the sidelines and possibly kind of messing up the chemistry of this team because he wants a bigger contract. So there was a lot of different things going on, and it was like a game where you thought like, oh, the Eagles are about to pull away, and then all of a sudden the Vikings come storming back with Kirk Cousins playing well. So I think it's Vikings are now 0-2, the Eagles are 2-0, which is makes sense after this game, but just kind of crazy how we got here, Cease.
Yeah, it was a crazy game because you could have sat there at halftime or early third quarter and just been like, Eagles are going to win this game and turn it off, and then it felt like that for the entire second half until like the last 5-6 minutes of the fourth quarter, where the Vikings just keep scoring points and the Eagles just keep letting them. Obviously, they lost one of their key secondary members in Maddox in this game, which was a big loss for them, and I think that also opened up the Vikings passing game a lot. Um, but yeah, Kirk Cousins had a good game. A lot of it was while the Eagles were playing soft, and basically Kirk Cousins made the play, so I can't fault him too much. I'm not going to. This is better than normal Kirk Cousins prime time, but also still not like where he needs to be. He didn't get the win. If he got the win, I'd say the curse is over. But he didn't get it. He did backdoor cover. That probably pissed a lot of people off, and that's why you took the Eagles -5.5 like I did. Um, but regardless, it was a wild game. A lot of fumbles. The Vikings running back situation with Madison is tenuous right now. They don't really have anyone better. Part of it I think is offensive line plays not great either. The Eagles were pretty much hitting him in the backfield before they ever got to the line of scrimmage half the time. It's a pass first team. It should be. You got Justin Jefferson, you got T.J. Hawkinson. Addison has come out of the gate and played really strong these first two games as well. It should be a pass first offense, and then let Madison. If he can catch balls out of the backfield, he should be all right. The biggest thing is his pass blocking is horrible, and pass first offenses, you kind of need your running back to be able to do all those things together. Otherwise, it's hard to keep them on the field at times. Look at the Bengals and Joe Mixon. Can't pass block. It's hard to really get you in on pass plays because if you're in, they know there's a good chance the ball can come to you. But yeah, overall, it was a weird game. Thursday night games always seem to be strange, but the Eagles are able to pull out the win. But they got to figure out this stuff with A.J. Brown, and they can't have him be disgruntled. And again, the Eagles offense still not looking fantastic. We got Jalen Hurts, who got a lot of those 1 yard getting pushed in the end zone plays that some people say should be illegal. Whatever, they're legal now. But the passing game and the deep touchdowns, you have Devontae Smith, but A.J. Brown is not getting involved. I think that's a worrying sign, and that's also another reason why he's upset is because he doesn't get the contract, he's not getting the yards, and it's sometimes for these receivers, it's hard for them to celebrate with a team when they're not getting their touches for some reason.
Yeah, and I do have to give it to the Eagles in this one too. It's something we see with other teams. We're going to get to in a little bit here. They found out that running the ball for 5 yards every single carry with DeAndre Swift was the best way to win the game, and they just kept on doing it. And that's what you should do. If he has 28 carries at the end of the day and you win, that's what you want. So, a lot of other things weren't working, like A.J. Brown, and the important thing was they got the win. The DeAndre Swift comes out of nowhere, at least based on last week when Kenneth Gainwell was starting, and there's a lot of teams who things are working and then they try to change it up or get cute with it. If it's working, just keep on doing it. And I think that was the most impressive thing for me. It was just watching that game. They're probably going to give it to DeAndre Swift again, and he's going to pick up 5 yards again. So props to the Eagles for good play calling and just kind of trusting their guys to get the job done. All right, so we'll go to the game on Sunday that you were at. The Ravens win 27-24. The strategy for the Ravens against the Bengals is pretty clear now. It's to possess the ball for a lot of the game, and then when Joe Burrow does get the ball, make things tough for him with pressure, whether they can do that with 4 rushers or sometimes they bring more. That's what they're trying to do, especially with the hobbled Joe Burrow. Cincinnati's offensive line did not look good in this game. Zach Taylor's been too conservative. Yes, a lot of defenses are playing more cover 3, more cover 4 to kind of prevent the big play, but still have to get some shots downfield somehow. There's no deep threats. Jamar Chase after the game says he needs some go balls. Just a lot of things going on that are just game plan wise that you can kind of see. End of the day, though, this game could have gone completely differently. Joe Burrow throws this interception in the third quarter on a play that he probably made a good read on, at least based on what we should see, but the guide kind of Geno Stone did something that he really wasn't supposed to. That was the turning point in the game. Otherwise, it was the same old for the Ravens, what they try to do. They try to kill the clock, pressure Joe Burrow, and both things worked this time.
Right. And, I mean, it seems like these Bengals-Ravens games are all turning this exact same way, where, like you said, the Ravens are going to just try to wear them down and keep the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands as much as possible. And, I mean, the first half, they absolutely accomplished that. I mean, I think the Bengals got the ball 3 times in the first half. One was not a great offensive drive. The second was a punt return, so the offense didn't even get on the field. And the third one was, again, not a very successful drive. Other than that, I mean, the Ravens were dominating. I mean, they get their big runs. They have a lot of great designed runs that look really good. But other than that, I mean, it was a close game. The Bengals' offense started to look better in the second half. Obviously, Joe Burrow had that interception, which he definitely wishes he could have back. But at least they were moving the ball. They were scoring touchdowns finally, and they looked like a semblance of the team. Jamar was covered a lot of times. And Joe Burrow was perfectly fine with going with T. Higgins, who he had on some intermediate kind of passes, got the touchdowns. So I mean, things were looking better. Obviously, the calf injury, which we'll get to later on in this week's previews and everything, is a bummer and a downer, and that happened, in the last offensive drive of the game. But I mean, the Ravens know how to game plan. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team, and it was still a close game in the end. I mean, it was one possession. It was a field goal to tie it, and the Ravens were just able to keep the ball away in the last drive because the defense was tired. They've been on the field, 2/3 of the game, and it's not a winning formula for the Bengals. I'd love to see them get more deep shots. There were times where, especially being there, I'm not the expert of reading every coverage, but Jamar is there. Jamar doesn't seem like he's getting utilized on anything that's more than 10 yards out. I get part of it is because they don't want Joe Burrow to get sacked because they don't want to re-injure the calf, which he did anyway. But there aren't enough deep shots. There are plenty of times where Jamar was left out, put him in the slot. He has a chance to be a single coverage, and, a check down happens instead. And I'm not saying you should force the ball to Jamar every play, but there need to be more designed ways to get Jamar open, and get that go route and take that shot downfield more than once a game. You have to do it multiple times. You have the talent, because if you just get one, it's a complete momentum changer. You can really change the outlook of the entire game. It could really make the whole defense lose heart for the Ravens, but they're afraid to accomplish it. There aren't as many three receiver sets as we've seen. They're doing a lot of two tight ends because I think they're trying to max protect Joe Burrow as much as they can. But the reality is this offense doesn't work that way. It's a conundrum right now. You can't run the offense you need because Joe Burrow's not completely healthy. But an unhealthy Joe Burrow not being able to run the offense that they're so successful at isn't getting a great result either. So what do we do here? Do we play a backup? Does Joe Burrow keep playing knowing that probably the calf will not fully heal then because he's going to keep using it week in and week out? Like it's a conundrum. It's a place I definitely don't want to be if I'm the Bengals coaching staff to figure out, how much do I really want to force the issue with this? How much is it worth it? And unfortunately, it's the front office's fault for not really developing a backup quarterback that could win a couple games in the meantime. So it's not looking great for the Bengals right now. They're still trying to figure out where they are with the calf injury. They haven't said much since, Monday. And hopefully it's nothing too major and Joe Burrow can continue to play and continue to try to get a little bit better as we saw in the second half.
I'm with you, Cease. I think that specifically the backup quarterback point, if they bench Joe Burrow for the first 2 weeks of the season, they basically punt on those games. Maybe against the Browns, they could have just run the ball more and done something. But there's guys out there you can get. You can get Colt McCoy, who's a free agent right now. You can go trade for a backup or something. But you see, like the Chiefs, like they don't sometimes miss a beat when Patrick Mahomes goes down. It's not because Patrick Mahomes isn't talented and the backup can do his job. It's because those guys don't need reps, and we need guys right now. We have Will Grier and Jake Browning for the Bengals. You put them in, and say Burrow needs some time off, then you're punting on this season. If you go 0-3 with the loss to the Rams, that's what that is. I've seen a lot of Bengals fans on Twitter say, "Oh, we need to protect the long-term health of Joe Burrow." That's fine if that's what you want to do, but then you're throwing away one of the prime windows of his career. So that's something that Bengals fans will have to live with. It's a catch-22 situation. Probably not a right answer. I expect Joe Burrow to want to play through the injury, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think it's tough right now to start 0-2 against the division and get things going. It's Bengals fans, want to think like nothing's wrong, but the panic button's on the table right now. It's just we're playing with fire every year, starting these slow starts, and some year it's going to burn us. It might be this year with Joe Burrow's injury. We just don't know. All right, next one up, Cease. We have the Bears at the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers win this one 27-17. Baker Mayfield looks pretty good. I have a couple of notes down here to go over real quick. We have, you mentioned this last week, Mike Evans got balls deep in a defense. Second straight week he's done that. Luke Getsy has been pretty awful as an offensive coordinator for the Bears. There's plays where guys are running the same route in the same spot. So there's curl routes where the guys are duplicating where they're running into each other. It seems like Justin Fields is being overcoached. He had an open receiver, and they said, like, hey, he said, like, I'm concerned because they were both in the same spot. There was, like, two seam routes going the same way, and he didn't want to throw it because of that. And, yeah, I think the Bears' offensive line has struggled. And, Justin Fields hasn't been playing that bad. He hasn't been playing that well, but he's also, I think, in this system where a bad offensive line, bad play caller, that's what you get. And their defense was not fixed. Their big plays were still happening, so that's what you get. And good to note, Cecil, Baker Mayfield had a pretty good second week for the Buccaneers. Like, the Buccaneers were expected to win this, but for a guy that was pretty much written off for dead, awesome to see him kind of come back here and do some good things because they still got good weapons like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They can do some decent things in the NFC South this year.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of pieces from the Super Bowl team for Tampa Bay that are still there. Obviously Tom Brady is not there. That's obvious. Everyone in the world should know that. If you don't, it's time to get out of your cave. But the other pieces, a lot of them are still here. Sure, they're not maximizing their spending because they're going for it in a window right now. But, these guys have been under contract. They still have a good defense. They have some wide receivers. The big question this whole offseason has been, what's the quarterback position going to be like? What's the run game really going to be like? Because that hasn't been strong either. And, as of right now, Baker Mayfield is accomplishing and answering those questions that, the offense is going to be okay. Now, does that mean they're going to win the NFC South? I don't think so. I think you look at the two teams, Minnesota doesn't have a great defense, and the Bears are just a complete and utter shit show. So, it's hard to tell, early in a season like this where, you can tell some teams aren't good, but other teams look good, but they're playing bad competition. So, where I need to see Tampa Bay against the top half defense, and then I will really kind of figure out where this team is. If they play, when they play the Saints, somebody like that, I think that'll be a big indicator of where they are as a team if they have what it takes to win this division. Obviously, right now they moved out of the dumpster fire category into the we'll wait and see category, and that's kind of where they are. The Bears have gone from the we'll wait and see category to the dumpster fire category. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't know how much longer you can let Getz be the offensive coordinator of this team because it's not working. It's just plain and simple, and it's not just like, oh, this one thing didn't work and it'll develop. It doesn't look like there's really any concepts to develop. If you, as the play caller and play installer, you have a defensive head coach, so your offensive coordinator is the guy when it comes to offensive install and pretty much final say in the offense most times. Why do you have two guys run the same route? Like, that's just lazy. I mean, there are plenty of offensive coaches. Not everyone is, a Sean McVay or a Mike McDaniel. I get it. But there's a lot of people who are better than this. And honestly, at this point, I don't know if you just rely on Justin Fields' ability as a creator because I know they're afraid of him getting hurt. They want to protect him. He's the future of the franchise, which I agree with. But there's no design runs. That worked really well for him last year. I mean, at this point, if the season and the offense is going to look like this, they might as well go back to what they were doing last year, where at least it looked like the offense was creating points and doing something, making yards, and converting, the downs. And this game, they're not doing that. And this defense is still not very good, and it's hard for it to really develop into anything because they're on the field constantly because the Bears' offense is horrible. So, at this point, I don't know how many more weeks the offensive coordinator is going to have a job. I hope not very much longer if these are the results we're going to get. And at that point, whoever gets that job to be the offensive play caller, I think you just got to go, all right, we got Justin Fields. What he does best, it seems, is run around and throw the ball out of the pocket and create things. And, I mean, it's not great long-term health-wise for him, but ultimately, if that's what we need to make the Bears look like a semi-competitive team, that's something you can build towards for another year and develop versus just being like it's an absolute dumpster fire and it's Justin Fields even the answer. Because he can be, but not in this style of offense that they're currently calling.
Right. I mean, you're absolutely right. Getsy last year, I think it was like week 8 or 9 or 10 or something, finally lets Justin Fields run the ball, and the offense takes off the rest of the year, and everyone in fantasy football is like all pumped because Justin Fields runs the ball and gets a lot of points that way. And then this year it's like, oh, we're not going to let him throw, or we're not going to let him run. We're not going to call design runs, and it's impacting the offense. If you have a Ferrari, use the Ferrari. Let him run. He still has a rocket arm attached to him, and he can make throws. It's just maybe reading the field's a little bit tough right now, and maybe some of that overcoaching. But if you don't use him that way, then you're basically trying to turn him into someone who could maybe be a bad pocket passer, and that's not going to work. So just let him run, let him have the extended plays, and this is a dude who ran a 4.40. Let him use that. So I don't understand some of the offensive coaches in the NFL who want to take a guy and make it that way. I get you want to protect your investment, but at this point he's still on a rookie deal. So if it ends up that he ends up getting run into the ground, very unfortunate. You don't want to see it, but it happens. So you have to use the players to their strengths. All right, so the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons. This was an interesting game for a couple reasons. Cease, we had the Packers traveling to Atlanta after Jordan Love's big Week 1 game. And we also had the Falcons with a chance to go to 2-0, which they ended up doing. They went 25-24. Remember, the Packers didn't have Aaron Jones. Elton Jenkins went down in this game, so there were some injuries here. But I think some funny things, too. We had Jordan Love falling down when trying to do a quarterback sneak. We had A.J. Dillon falling down on a short yardage situation after being a big back. And we had Arthur Smith using his playmakers. Drake London had 6 catches for 67 yards and a touchdown. And what looked like the game was over, the Packers couldn't get the job done, couldn't close the door. The Falcons scored the last 13 points of the game to win. That includes some field goals at the end there by Younghoe Koo, our Lord and Savior. And he gets the job done. I think this is one of the ones where the Packers should have won. I think it's equally on their offense for not shutting the door, no fourth quarter points, and their defense. You can't give up 13 unanswered points to a team like the Falcons with Desmond Ridder at quarterback, who didn't play terribly, but he didn't play overly well either. So that's what I took from the game.
Right. Um, Basically, what I'll add to that is if Arthur Smith can play and coach a game like that where he gets Drake London involved, a number one receiver. They get a passing game that actually looks like a semblance of something real. If this is the kind of Falcons offense we have going through the rest of the season, I will be much more prone to say they got a real shot at the NFC South. I think so. If they play like this, they're 2-0. They start getting all their playmakers involved, which has been the big thing with Arthur Smith. You get Kyle Pitts, you get Drake London. These are huge, big-time playmakers. So is Bijan Robinson, and you want to use them. And I understand if you want to be a run-first team, but you still got to get those guys involved. Because if you get them involved, it's going to make what you want to do, and that's possess the ball and be a, running, grading kind of team. It'll make it easier to accomplish that because teams still need to account for your passing game. The defense is still okay. I mean, they've signed some people. Jesse Bates was a big addition for them. He's played well so far, 2 games in. And the Packers, they're a middling team now without Aaron Rodgers. Matt LaFleur, not an elite coach by any means. He's not the absolute worst coach, but I can't say that the Packers are going to be a good team. It seems like they're going to be maybe they'll make the playoffs, maybe they won't. How far? I don't think they really got a shot to ever go deep in the playoffs when they do make it with the way the roster is currently constructed. And, maybe Jordan Love will continue to take steps forward, sure. But I just don't feel like Matt LaFleur and the system he's created and the offense and just everything that they're running feels like it's something that's going to work long-term for them.
I would agree. I think there's going to be some changes after this year in Green Bay. I think specifically defensive coordinator Joe Barry, but also, like I said, you can't go the whole fourth quarter without scoring any points either. So, going to need to figure that whole thing out. And like I said, with the Falcons, they spent some money on their defense. They drafted Bijan Robinson, and man, has he looked good, man. They keep on getting that guy the ball. I know they want to run the ball a lot and give Tyler Algier touches, and then when Cordero Patterson comes back, give him touches. But God, there's a case to be made that by week 5 we're talking about him being the best running back in the league already. So it's crazy. All right, Kansas City and Jacksonville, a rematch of a playoff game last year. Now, Cease, before we get started into the analysis, I know you were at the game, there was a big argument with the boys because of the YouTube multi-view thing. I wanted this game on the screen, but we couldn't get this game on the screen if we wanted to watch both the Bears and the Packers game. We were watching with Bears and Packers fans. So I put this on my laptop to watch the game. They were okay with watching their garbage teams. That's very nicely, just because I don't like those people, but garbage teams. So I watched this on my laptop, and honestly, you didn't miss much. It was a 17-9 game here. The biggest things here for me, Chris Jones seems to be important and disrupting for that Chiefs defense. 9 points to the Jaguars is pretty good. This low-scoring game was, I think, dictated by the bad offensive line play by both teams. For the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence kept on getting pressured. For the Chiefs, Jawan Taylor, the guy who everyone was making fun of for getting false starts in Week 1 on the Thursday night game, he gets benched because he has so many penalties with the false starts because the NFL said they were going to check into it. So he gets benched, and then he gets put back in, benched in the middle of the drive. This is not like a Mona Lisa of a game for either team, but Ian Eagle, when Travis Kelce finds the end zone, says he found a blank space for all the Taylor Swift fans out there. Since the rumors are they're dating. Again, anyone could have missed this game. It's a game these two teams could play in the playoffs, but it shows a lot of rust from these offenses and a lot of rust from these offensive lines. I think there might be 3 or 4 offensive lines that anyone feels comfortable with in the league, and the rest is just very, very suspect these past couple of years, Cease.
Yeah, offensive line play is definitely at an all-time low, it feels like, and it's not getting any better. Shout out to the Rams, who somehow managed to piece together a decent offensive line. We'll get to their game later, but since we're talking about offensive line play, the Rams are probably one of the random teams that seem to they found a bunch of nobodies. I don't even think their left tackle got drafted, or if he did, he was a late round pick. I've never heard of him before in my life, but they're giving Matt Stafford some time against the 49ers defense. And the Rams still love playing, three receiver sets. So there's not a lot of help. Maybe there's one tight end. They're not, doing max coverage or anything like that. So, it goes to show. I think it's part. There aren't that many guys who want to play offensive line anymore. It's not a beloved position, especially in the age of social media and things like that. These guys don't get the love that you know they probably deserve. I mean, it's just that's how it's always been with line play in football. It's just kind of assume they're there, and then when they screw up, you're there to find out what their name is and scream at them. Um, and two, I think evaluation between college and NFL for offensive linemen is kind of becoming almost uncomparable between what the college style offenses run these days with five wide and these kind of all everything out of the shotgun, and then trying to transition these guys to pro football, the I formation, basic stuff like that, and going up against top tier defensive linemen because there's not usually as many athletic freaks in every game depending on where you play and what conference you're in. So I mean, there's a lot with offensive line play, but it's true. I mean, it's definitely going to continue to play a factor in a lot of games. Um, Other thing I want to talk about here is Chiefs did go out slow. I can't believe how slow they started in this game. That's something to look out for. But ultimately, too, the Chiefs defense looks pretty good so far. They've got Chris Jones back. They've got George Karlaftis, who they drafted 2 years ago. They got Trent McDuffie. They've gotten some younger guys in there as some of their older guys they let go to free agency because they didn't have the money assignment, and they've replaced them pretty well. If Karlaftis keeps playing like this, that's a great replacement for Frank Kirk, who's been up and down last year for the Chiefs anyway. So, I mean, if they keep playing at this level, I mean, the Jaguars, I think, will figure it out more as this season goes on. I mean, the Jaguars, a lot of people say are going to win the AFC South. And, I mean, that's a playoff team right there. And, the offense wasn't moving very well for Kansas City, and the defense was able to hold them to 9 points. So, I mean, if the Kansas City Chiefs defense keeps playing like this, I'm sure Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce will figure it out here, and Pat Mahomes will eventually get some rapport with one of these receivers. I mean, that's a pretty good bet towards another Super Bowl if they play like that. I mean, I don't think Pat Mahomes has ever had a top 15 defense, and a lot of times these Hall of Fame quarterbacks, when they do get to a Super Bowl, it's because they finally get a good, top half defense that can hold the ball down and get them the ball back so they can win it. So, something to look out for as the season goes on.
Yes, we've kind of, I think the Chiefs, maybe not us, but definitely other people have talked about how the Chiefs have this offensive struggles with some of these wide receivers, but they've invested a lot of their early picks into the defense, and when they got Chris Jones back, it looks like it'll be pretty good. I mean, they did, 21 points to the Lions, and the Lions are a pretty good offensive team, and then 9 points to the Jaguars on the road. I mean, they're getting what they're paying back. I mean, they use the draft picks, they're getting what they put into it, so it's always good to see teams who put stuff into things get rewarded for doing it. So we'll see how they hold up for sure, and if maybe that's more of a defensive team than in past years. We'll stick with some AFC South teams here. We have the Colts beating the Texans 31-20. Anthony Richardson has 2 rushing touchdowns, but he goes out with a concussion. It seems like he's going to be okay. Gardner Minshew comes in, doesn't miss a beat. Best backup quarterback in the league. We all love him here. Zach Moss comes back from the broken arm, shows that he's the number 1 back when Jonathan Taylor is out. I mean, we saw at the end of last year with Deion Jackson not really being much of a factor and Zach Moss getting much of the carries, but he really played well in this game. 88 yards, 1 touchdown. He's the guy to pick up in fantasy this week if you're not picking up Jerome Ford, the Browns backup running back, who's now going to get a bigger share. And then, I think it's good for the Colts to win. They have Anthony Richardson who can run the ball. He has looked better than expected, and the defense is good. But for the Texans, I don't care about the record this year, but C.J. Stroud looks like probably the best passing rookie quarterback so far. Bryce Young's had his struggles. We'll get into that on Monday Night Football. But he had 384 yards and 2 touchdowns. And a lot of it was in comeback time. But he's protecting the football, dealing with a lot of pressure from the Texans offensive line, who has plenty of guys out. And he's playing really well. So that is encouraging for Texans fans, even though the record is not good right now. It probably will not be good this season.
Right. A lot of people wanted this game and thought it was going to be very close. You and I thought the Colts would win it because it seems like they still have a much better roster overall. But C.J. Stroud did take some good steps in this. He also got the rookie Tank Dell, who had a good rapport with in training training camp and the preseason involved a little bit, so I'd like to see him develop as well. Um, but I mean, the defense just isn't doing anything for anybody. They got D'Amico Ryans there now as head coach. Maybe it takes a little time for them to develop that defensive identity, but so far it has not been it. That's what I think most of all you would have expected from the Texans maybe is for their defense to get better, and it seems like it's the same it's been since J.J. Watt left. It's just piecemealed together, and they're not really stopping anybody, especially when they absolutely need to get the ball back. I mean, I would like to see them get another receiver. Tank Dell's young. They signed Dalton Schultz at tight end. He's not an absolute beast of a tight end receiving threat. Dameon Pierce has played better than anybody expected after coming out of nowhere last year. But there's just a lot of pieces on this offense they still need that I think they would really benefit from. Especially if maybe they had a first-round pick this year. But, they traded it, and I get why, but, I mean, that might cost them – honestly, that might cost them Marvin Harrison Jr. at this rate that they're going. And that's a big cost, considering that would be a perfect person, especially considering C.J. Stroud was his quarterback.
Well, they already cost them that because remember they traded their first round pick for Orlando.
I was saying it would be nice if they hadn't traded.
Yeah, right. The Texans draft pick strategy the last couple of years has been interesting.
Yeah, don't trade away draft picks in the first round if there's a pretty good chance you're still going to suck. Just a rule of thumb. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the Texans are still far off. That sucks if you're a Texans fan. And the Colts are still okay, and they might be a team that ends up beating some teams we don't expect them to, just because Richardson's able to use his legs, and it's worked out well so far. And if the Jonathan Taylor drama dies down, he does show back up and plays well. I mean, that's a formula to win a couple football games.
They could win the AFC South if he comes back and they just run the ball a lot. Like, the defense is still good, Cease. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to pick that way. I think the Jaguars are still better, but they could.
Yes.
All right, so the next game up, Cease, won't take too long on this one. The Bills absolutely obliterate the Raiders. They win 38-10. Devontae Adams plays well early, but then suffers a concussion. We gotta give a little golf clap for Josh Allen. He did not throw an interception this game. That's really big for him. Jimmy G did throw 2 interceptions, and then Josh Jacobs did nothing, absolutely nothing. He didn't rush almost at all for any yards after leading the team or the league in rushing last year. To me, Cease, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this game because we knew the Bills are better and the Raiders are whatever, but Josh McDaniels is such a bad coach.
Yeah, it's good to see the Bills get back on track. It sucks that Devontae Adams is there because he's probably arguably the best receiver in the league, and it sucks now because he thought he was going to get Derek Carr, and then Derek Carr got ran out of town, and now he's got to deal with the Josh McDaniels shit show. So hopefully, maybe we can get Devontae Adams back on another team. It'd be great to see him get traded to someone who needs a receiver. Don't think it will happen, but that would be nice to see him be able to compete in the playoffs because he's really good. He's really the only reason to watch the Raiders at all.
Pretty much, yeah. All right, we'll keep it moving for the Chargers at the Titans. And Cease, the Chargers cannot get over the second half collapse. It happened again. They're now 0-2. I think we can talk about Brandon Staley firmly being on the hot seat. It is a loss to a team that is a solid team, usually under Mike Vrabel. The Titans scored 17 unanswered points to win. The score was 14-10 at halftime in favor of the Chargers, and then they score 14 points second half. They get a field goal in overtime to win and seal it. Justin Herbert's on fire, but they keep on. And Joey Bosa had 2 sacks, but they keep on blowing things late. The Chargers did score 10 second half points. That math doesn't add up, but they still keep on blowing these second half leads. Like, they had a lead at halftime. They had a chance to close down the game at the end of the game. These collapses will have to be answered for, and Brandon Staley has not been answering the questions too nicely when people bring up all the collapses. So that's something to note.
No, I mean, if they lose another game, like if they go 0-3, I think this is the point where, Brandon Staley should have been on the hot seat. Probably should have gotten fired at the end of last year, considering the collapse that happened. Mm-hmm. And now, this year we're getting off to the same start. Sure. My Dolphins look really good 2 weeks in, and they lose a close one. but they have the lead in these games. Titans, like, they had a lead at halftime, and the Titans don't have a good passing offense. They're a one-dimensional team at the end of the day. Like, they really are. They are not. Ryan Tannehill is not any good. Like, it's that simple. You have Justin Herbert, who people keep saying is like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and like I agree with them. But like, where are the game-winning drives? Where are they? They aren't clutch, and it sucks. And I feel bad for Justin Herbert because, I mean, his team just doesn't get wins when it should, and they are. It's looking like a weird franchise, and they're kind of their windows closing. They have a big quarterback deal. They have to pay Justin Herbert. The team's going to start getting a little less and less, and if this is what we're going to see, it's not going to work. And Chargers are going to be. It's going to be really weird to see Justin Herbert on such a good team to give them such a chance and watch them squander it week in and week out.
That's how I feel too, Season. I think Brandon Staley was this guy who was kind of seen as maybe being too into analytics and too nerdy, but then he shifted away for like they had a chance to go for it on some fourth downs and didn't do it. He's changed how he coaches, and I think what made him good his first year there was that he just kind of listened to the analytics and did what he wanted, and now he's just kind of letting these voices get in his head, and he's maybe the team too. Like, it's just the Chargers are going to charge her. That's how it works. All right, so the Seahawks and Lions, this is one of the more entertaining matchups of Sunday, and you would never think it based on these teams' histories of, it's the Seahawks and Lions, but they produced some pretty good football here. Seahawks win it 37-31. We have Jared Goff was going on almost the longest streak in NFL history without throwing an interception, and then he throws a pick six, and that starts a comeback by the Seahawks. I think Geno came back to form in this game. It wasn't like he was playing too terribly, but he had 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Detroit offense maybe has a limited amount of weapons, and I think Jared Goff is doing well, but Jameson Williams is still suspended. And Josh Reynolds is coming out of nowhere to produce, and Amon-Ra St. Brown got banged up in this game, so it kind of makes it a little bit intense. And then Seattle has no run game in this game either, which is surprising to me, Cease. But they were able to get the win. This is one we kind of noted would be a fun one, and it ended up being even more than we thought.
Right. It was definitely just an offensive slugfest at times. Jared Goff obviously had that pick six. And it is looking like in Detroit, they don't have all their weapons. And it seems like Gibbs, and I am, a full disclosure, a Gibbs fantasy owner. I do have an investment in this man and his season. But again, one of the top picks in the NFL draft, they're not using him that much. Bijan is getting used a lot for the Falcons. And I get Dave Montgomery is a fine back and everything, but Jahmyr Gibbs should be in all the time. Like, he should be in, probably 75, 80% of the snaps in some way. Doesn't have to get the ball every time. You don't have to have him run for 30, touches a game. But have him involved in the game plan. Make people account for him. If he's supposed to be this dangerous back who can catch the ball out of the backfield, that can run, put him in there with Montgomery. I mean, get the guy involved. Dan Campbell's using all his coach speak that he's a rookie. He doesn't want to overwhelm him. Well, I mean, sure, you're a rookie, but when you're, a top 10 pick, that rookie stuff goes out the window pretty quickly. I mean, you're a running back in the NFL. Your career is like 5 to 6 years these days. So you better get the max out of this thing, or it's going to look even like you're going to look really dumb if at the end of the season, Jeremy Gibbs has like a 50 to 60% snap share, especially if they don't have one of the top running offenses in the league. It just doesn't make sense. They'll look better when Jameson Williams gets back. But at the same time, like, maximize your weapons. And, Dan Campbell and this Lions team, they closed out the Chiefs, which was great, but then this game kind of turned to the same thing we've been seeing over the last year or two, is they had trouble closing out these games. They can't put that, kind of dagger in the heart to really just end things. They had to come back in this one. They had the lead, and, they let the Seahawks come up. They managed to take it to overtime, and then from there they couldn't do anything. So it's, the Lions still, I like them to win the NFC North, especially compared to how everyone else has done 2 games in. But this is definitely something they need to fix, and Dan Campbell needs to be acutely aware that he's got to maximize the talent on his team. And there's so many NFL coaches that I still don't get it to this day. We talk about this all the time. They don't maximize the talent on their teams. They try to use the scheme and they try to just game plan like they're just another player who's above average. It's like they're not above average. They're supposed to be these superstars you're supposed to rely on to win you games. That's honestly how you win the NFL. You plan your scheme around these guys, you maximize their potential, and you let them take over the game if they're going to take over the game. But it just hasn't happened in Detroit yet. And, they have middling talent at the quarterback position. They need to use that talent in the other positions that they have.
I'm with you, Cease. I always am a big proponent of play the best players, and he might be the best player on that offense other than Amon-Ra St. Brown, skill position-wise. Maybe even more so than him. We just haven't seen him enough. So, yeah, use him. And maybe David Montgomery being banged up now will make them use him more in the next couple weeks here, and it could be the best thing that happens to that team. Unfortunate as it is that someone else got injured. All right, the Giants beat the Cardinals 31-28, but that did not come out without a lot of drama. If you're like me, it was 20-0 at halftime. I bet the Giants heavy. I'm thinking the Cardinals are tanking. Yeah, they played the Commanders tough, but they have Sam Howell. They're not that great either. They have good defense. And then all of a sudden they come back and win 31-28. Daniel Jones through the air with his legs did a lot. Jalen Hyatt kind of proved himself as a deep threat. That's all he does. That's what we said in the draft show. All he does is a deep threat. That's all he's going to be. And he ended up proving his worth here when he had 2 catches for 89 yards. The bad news for the Giants is that Saquon Barkley's banged up now. Probably going to miss some time. That's something they'll have to overcome because he is their best player, despite Daniel Jones playing really well in the comeback. And, this is like... They shouldn't have been this hard against a team that is tanking. This team is tanking so much they just put Budda Baker on the IR. Probably not as a result of them tanking, but it's going to be really bad for this team. So Giants, I'm not really sure they're good, but that was at least exciting.
Yeah, at this point, after I saw that absolute the Cardinals collapsed at halftime. Like, you're at home. The other team is coming from New York to the desert out in Arizona. That's it's a West Coast game. They're tired, travel, and you're already up on them it's a 3-possession game. And Daniel Jones just goes off. And again, that's great. I'm glad he did that. Again, don't know why it took him an entire half to figure out an offense. It is, they have Jalen Hyatt that at least he's proving to be a deep threat, which helps because we were worried that he wouldn't even be able to get the ball, out there because of Daniel Jones and the way this offense runs, and it would be worthless anyway. So at least they're using him. Still need some guys that can actually throw to in the middle of the field. They got to get Darren Waller more involved. Without Saquon, it's hard to really feel threatened by this Giants offense. Saquon is the every down, every play, he's the guy you got to account for. He's that talented. He really makes this offense run a lot more than Daniel Jones does. I'm not scared of Matt Breida, and I'm just gonna spy Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones really isn't that fast, so any spy will be able to catch up with him. It's not Lamar Jackson. He's not, Justin Fields. He's not super fast by any means. He's actually pretty slow. This offense is becoming one-dimensional. I don't like what this means for the Giants. I didn't think the Giants were going to make the playoffs anyway. It's unfortunate to see Saquon, who, is fighting for running backs everywhere, it seems like, to make more money. And he gets hurt again. And, that's the thing with running backs is they are one of the most fragile positions in the NFL. They do get beat up. And it shows you, and it's just unfortunate. I hope he's able to come back quickly and healthy. And, I don't want to see them, just fall apart because of this. The Cardinals, though, I got nothing for you. I don't really have any advice. I don't have many manuals. I don't know how many pep talks coaches have when you blow a 3-possession lead at half at home. There's no real excuse for it. It's honestly up to them. It's poor coaching because, clearly there was some talent there at some point. They fumbled it away, and it sucks. And the Cardinals at this point should, again, they're 0-2, just fade off into the night with the number 1 pick.
Could have
the Texans if you have to, but if they don't think they end up playing. But Just do whatever you can to get the first and second overall pick.
I'm
Get rid of
s-
Kyler Murray. Trade him to some saps out there, and then maybe you have a semblance of being good. Is is Gannon gonna be a great coach? I don't think so. I don't know why they went with a defensive minded head coach in the first place when, they have a quarterback they paid a lot of money to. So a lot of question marks. Don't like what's going on in the desert. The Cardinals might do another classic. They fire the guy after 1 year because they've done it plenty of times before now. And if this season goes this way, Rich Gannon may not be there long term because I don't really want to get a rookie quarterback or get someone like Caleb Williams or whoever ends up being the number one quarterback drafted and pair him with a defensive coach. It just doesn't work.
yeah. See, the Cardinals. It would be really cool if they do get the number 1 and number 2 pick. I'll just that'd be so cool. They get Marvin Harrison and they get Caleb Williams and they just trade Kyler Murray for some more picks. That'd be fun. But I'm with you. It sucks that Saquon got hurt again. He's a guy that a lot of fans have been invested in through fantasy or just the fact that he's a very talented running back, and you hate to see guys like that get injured. So hopefully the Giants have a tough turnaround here. They're playing in San Francisco on Thursday night, so they have a lot to figure out. But we'll just see how it goes, and we'll see if they can maybe pull off a huge upset because it's Thursday night or something. The New York Jets at the Dallas Cowboys seats. The Cowboys win 30-10. They are blowing teams out left and right to start the year. Both the Giants and the Jets. How good are those teams? I guess it still remains to be seen. But their defense looks really good. That's what's getting them there. They had 3 interceptions in this one. Micah Parsons looks like an early candidate for MVP, which is very hard for a defensive player to do. But just he's everywhere, getting sacks and everything. Zach Wilson had 3 INTs. I'm not ready to throw in the towel on Zach Wilson yet as being like the guy who can help this Jets team make the playoffs. But he maybe gets 1 or 2 more weeks to kind of prove what he can do, maybe against a team that isn't as good defensively as the Cowboys, before you have to make a change there and try to win a Super Bowl with someone else. So kind of what we expected the Cowboys to win, but just maybe not by that much of a domination.
Yeah, the Cowboys rolled through this game, and I expected it to be a little closer because the Jets' defense looked really well week one. I don't know if it's a hangover knowing that Aaron Rodgers is gone, and now it's kind of the shock is kind of set in, like the shock's over, and the reality's kind of set in there. Zach Wilson wasn't horrible, but he's it's hard to expect that much from him. But yeah, the Jets are in an unfortunate situation. The Cowboys, they beat 2 teams that we don't know really how good they are. It's early in the season, but right now I think they're better than the Eagles, and I think right now I'd pick them to win the NFC East. Gun to my head, that's what I'd say. I pick the Cowboys over the Eagles right now.
Wow. I mean, I'm called a homer if I say that, but like, let's ride, Cease, let's do it.
They look better right now.
All right.
I had to stick by my picks early in the season, but 2 weeks in, the Eagles look like the offense still needs to figure a lot of things out. The defense isn't as dominant, and the Cowboys are just destroying people. So.
I am ready to be hurt again, Cease. I am ready, not by the Bengals, by the Cowboys. I'm ready to be hurt again. Bengals, I can't be hurt anymore than I've already been hurt.
I'm numb.
We'll keep moving because that was a blowout. We'll go to the 49ers at the Rams. All I got to say is, while they did lose, I'm very impressed with the Rams' ability to find guys out of nowhere. We saw Kyren Williams step up this week, a guy who we talked about in the draft process we liked but didn't do anything last year when he was on the Rams. Tutu Atwell had a good game. Puka Nacua set the record for rookie receptions in a game. And they played the 49ers closer than we thought. I think a lot of that's because Matt Stafford's shoulder might be healed now. He looks really good. But they also played him closer than we thought because they were down 10 with 4 seconds to go. They kicked a field goal to help them cover the spread. They got within the 8 points. Most people had them 8 and 8.5 points, maybe 7.5 points. And they lose by 7 based on that. So That's a sad field goal if you're a football team, but if you're a gambler, if you're a bettor, you're like, heck yeah, man, take those points when you can get them. So the 49ers can deserve all the credit they can get. We've talked about them a lot. Very good team, very balanced. Brock Purdy looks good. But those were the things I took from this game, was more just like the 49ers did what they were supposed to do. The Rams played better than I expected them to and still kept it within the point spread based on a kind of a weird thing at the end there.
Yeah, that's 2 weeks in a row. There's been a very weird covering the spread. thing that's happened.
Mm-hmm.
That most of the time you're watching an NFL game, you go, why the hell would you be doing that? And I mean, they came out way before sports gambling. This stuff's been happening for years. Like we've all been there as NFL fans, screaming at a television, telling your coach you're an idiot. Um, so it's not new. It's not because somebody is secretly sports gambling. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. Um, but I'm here for the ride. But yeah, the 49ers still played well. The Rams, it's really, Sean McVay, guru, right? He's back to guru status with me. He's done it. These first two games without Cooper Cup have shown me he knows what the hell he's doing. Congratulations, you're in the upper echelon of elite coaches again for me. Last year was rough with Matt Stafford out, so it's hard. I guess the game plan, especially without a good quarterback, that's why they went out and got Stafford in the first place. And their tenuous backup situation continues to be a problem for them because Brett Ripien isn't going to win them any games. But that being said, I mean, what they've done with these young receivers out of Cooper Cup is phenomenal. Nothing short of amazing. Their offensive line, they've retooled it completely, it seems like. Noteboom, I think, is playing guard after he was playing tackle last year. Again, there are virtual unknowns playing on this team as offensive line, and they're playing decently well against a 49ers defense that's really good. Fred Warner had to start blitzing. They really had to start moving him in and create some pressure on Matt Stafford. So Kyren Williams has become a decent-looking running back. Cam Akers is once again fallen out of favor. If there's one thing with Sean McVay I won't understand sometimes is him and Shanahan, they seem to have these dog houses. It's the dog house. I guess if you're a guru, you got to have a dog house.
Yeah, sure.
I guess, but there just seems to be at times it doesn't make any sense. Players just completely lose favor with their offensive coach, and I don't know if that's great, for the flow and schematics of the season, but yeah, whatever. Cam Akers is pretty much out, it seems like, considering they're trying to trade him, and kind of a weird thing. If you're a poor Cam Akers fantasy owner, I really hope you got Kyren Williams off the waiver wire. If you didn't, God bless. And if you're the poor person out there who traded for Cam Akers from me in a fantasy league, congratulations. You are the biggest idiot, and I'm sorry. But yeah, Kyren Williams good, Cam Akers bad. Don't draft Cam Akers like I did, and if you did, try to get out of it as soon as you possibly can, but the boat's probably gone.
That is.
But yeah, 49ers really good.
That is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen in this league is, we like Cam Akers enough to draft him. We're going to make him the guy. He gets hurt. He comes back. We make him the guy again. We decide we don't like him. We try to trade him. He's inactive last year for a couple weeks. No one trades anything for him, so we put him back in the lineup at the end of last year. Plays well. We like him again. We like him to start the year. It seems like, but then Kyren Williams, week one comes around. Kyren Williams is the guy. Now we're trying to trade him again. Is a level of back and forth I don't think I've ever seen. Most people are, if you're done with someone, you're done. I don't know. This is like a toxic relationship you got to tell your boy to get out of or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think more impressed with the Rams than I am like anything with the 49ers. It's just we knew the 49ers were good coming in. We will see how these teams do next week. The 49ers, as we mentioned, short week for them, and then the Rams coming to Cincinnati. We'll answer a lot of questions about both teams. Next one up, we have the Washington Commanders at the Denver Broncos. This one was a weird game, back and forth, high scoring. We didn't really expect that. Eric Bieniemy's working his magic with 35 points scored for the Commanders. At the end of the game, we have Russell Wilson throw a Hail Mary when they're down 8, and it actually converts. He threw a moon ball down there, let the guys get under it, and it worked. 2-point conversion. Cortland Sutton looks pretty open, but there's some clear PI that was not called. We know you can get away with murder on the last couple plays of the game and have no PI call. That's just what history tells us 99% of the time, unless you're Logan Wilson in the Super Bowl, and then they'll call it every time because that's the Bengals. And we have other things from this game, just kind of I noted that it just came with some drama there, but Brian Robinson had a good game. Marvin Mims is a good deep threat for the Broncos. How's this stat line, Cease? 2 catches, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Holy crap. So that'll be good for the Broncos, but It's going to take a lot of more time for Sean Payton to fix this team than I think people initially thought. You don't just have Russell Wilson come back and be totally fixed through a couple preseason games in one week.
Yeah, the only troubling thing is the defense is getting worse, which is a big problem. Um, I mean, they were good, and maybe the Commanders, you didn't have a bad game, but I mean, the defense should have played a lot better against the Commanders team. That I get Bieniemy has probably done a lot with this team, as the offensive coordinator, and it's starting to show a little bit. But I mean, there's really no excuse for that in Mile High. That a team that doesn't have a great offense to suddenly just hang points on you, and Russell Wilson's got to try to get a Hail Mary. So it seems like no matter what the Broncos do, something's wrong. If they could get in a time machine and get Peyton Manning back and relive that year of 2010, I think they would in a heartbeat.
I think they would too. So yeah, two of the teams we don't really expect to be all that good this year, but big win for the Commanders to go 2-0. We'll see if they can kind of hold on down the stretch. We're going to move on to Sunday Night Football seas. The Dolphins win this one against the Patriots 24-17. I don't know if you saw the new thing with their lighthouse thing they're trying to start, but it's the cheesiest thing ever where they built a lighthouse in the stadium and someone rings a bell to start the game from the lighthouse. Kenny Chesney was the super fan who got to do it for the Patriots.
This is in New England?
It's in New England. so stupid. Everyone needs a pregame thing. I mean, the Bengals have Ruler of the Jungle. Everyone has their things now. It's just, we have a lighthouse. That's awesome.
I'm surprised Belichick allows that.
Yeah, I don't know. He's losing a step, man. Tua is 5-0 against Bill Belichick when he's able to play. Raheem Mostert looks pretty good. He's in control of that offense. We know that'll change once Jeff Wilson gets back or Devin A-Chain. They just decide they want a different running. It's the same San Francisco offense. They'll decide they want a different running back at some point. Tyreek Hill's still killing it. Had a touchdown in this game. They did let the Patriots come back. They got off to an early lead. They let the Patriots come back. There was a couple cool things. The Patriots did a running field goal block on the Dolphins where the dude ran parallel to the line of scrimmage, and then when the snap of the ball came, he ran towards the kick and blocked it. I think it was Colin Schooler did it, and it was amazing. People have been trying that in Madden forever. It was now in the NFL. There was a deflected pass that Cole Strange, the guard, caught, and it looked like he had a first down. Ended up getting called back, and that kind of helped end the Patriots' hopes of catching up to the Dolphins in this one. So it was entertaining at the end, but the Dolphins were the clear better team throughout.
Yeah, I mean, the Dolphins definitely look better. The Patriots did get back into it. There was a questionable touchdown with Hunter Henry there at the end where he pretty much blocked somebody like at 5 yards and then blocked him, pushed off, and then went into the end zone for the touchdown, which was a little questionable, but that's okay. The Colton Strange one was another, close call, and it went the other way for the Dolphins, so I mean, again, Mac Jones has some plays he looks really good. There's other times where he just makes bad plays. And I'll tell you this. The Dolphins defense, maybe not like elite, but they are fast. Like, they are so fast. I, sit there half the time and just, casually watching my screen. Leo agrees they're very fast. And I'm just watching people get blown up. So, yeah, I mean, the Dolphins look really good 2 weeks in. As of right now, between all the AFC teams, I'm really confident in the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. He is a Shanahan disciple, maybe even a new third guru, perhaps.
Okay.
There's a lot going on. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe the key to this is not to be a guru at times. Maybe it's to be someone who's also very smart and realizes that he is not an absolute genius. Because Kyle Shanahan maybe outthinks himself sometimes, maybe thinks, I don't need a real quarterback to win a game. Mike McDaniels goes, I'm getting the best quarterback I can to run the system, and I'm going to make the system great for him. I think that might win more games. I don't know. We'll see. But what I'd love to see right now? A Dolphins 49ers Super Bowl. I think it will be great. Great storylines. Little jiu-jitsu, the guru, master, and disciple. I mean, that's a lot of storylines, folks. I mean, I haven't gotten the script yet, but the script writers are out there. I mean, it doesn't get much better. I mean, we're talking about, this is a storyline. It's been going on. And I'm all in for it.
All right, I have a minor hot take you may or may not agree with. gun to my head. Okay, so like gun to my head, I have to pick one coach to coach my team to a victory. I'm picking Mike McDaniel right now. I mean,
I think that's a good pick.
yeah, I don't think it's too much of a hot. No one wants to say it because, like, yes, I get that Bill Belichick is the best coach in the league based on accomplishment. Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh, all the guys who've been there. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, the kind of up and coming gurus who've been around for a short time but have achieved a lot. But man, this guy, like you said, he's like doesn't outthink himself. He knows like speed is important. He gets the ball into his playmakers' hands. Like knows that the Jimmies and the Joes are better than the X's and the O's, but if they work together, you can have a good team. I mean, I know we're Bengals fans here. Like, if he was working with this Bengals offense, they'd be 2-0, and I'd be sleeping like a baby.
Yeah, I sat there all Sunday night after watching that game, just going, why don't we have a coach like that? What can I do to get a coach like that? I don't hate Zach Taylor or say we should just fire him, but I'm like, is there a world where Zach Taylor wakes up and goes, I don't want to be ultra conservative at all times? I really want to create a game plan. Or maybe we just find an offensive coordinator or just somebody on the team on the offensive side that goes, I've got some crazy ideas. Like he's the Sean McVay disciple. Do they not have somebody in the coaching tree that maybe wants to step up and be? I don't know. Can we get somebody?
I don't know.
It's just it's hard. It's frustrating to know how much talent is on the Bengals team. And Zach Taylor, he gets a lot. He's all heart, and that's great. Love the man, but ultimately, I mean, we got to see a little more. Mm-hmm. I want more.
I do too, and I'm with you. I think the Dolphins. I mean, currently it's still early, 2-0, but if Tua's healthy, could be the team to beat in the AFC. This is not something we expected from the last couple of years. All right, so we had a doubleheader on Monday Night Football, which did kind of different flow to things here, but we had started off with the Saints and the Panthers. The Saints get the win, 20-17. The Panthers had a late comeback attempt, but give credit to the Saints defense. They are better than most people expect. People still have it stuck in their minds that they're like as bad as the Drew Brees days. It's not the same defense. They're actually good. Saints get the win. They got a chance in this NFC South and Cease. I think Bryce Young's getting some hate on social media, but that offensive line's pretty bad. The receivers aren't that good. They're not creating separation. One of his top targets is Adam Thielen, who's clearly lost a step. It's be patient with the young quarterback is all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where we started. Rookie quarterback are expected to have like great seasons. I don't know when that started. It's been proven more often than not that that's just not going to happen. Mm-hmm. What you got to look for as a fan of that team is you got to commit to it's going to be rough. There's going to be times that it's not going to look great, especially if the roster he inherits is really bad. And then you're the Panthers who traded up from 9-1 and got rid of your best receiver in DJ Moore, which was a weird part of the deal I didn't really get. I guess they didn't want to have to pay him eventually. But that's stuff like that where it's just like, how can you evaluate a young quarterback completely when his offensive line's bad and he has no weapons? He is an old guy, Adam Thielen, trying to catch the ball. And Adam Thielen is good in the red zone, and he's a veteran, knows kind of how to move in space, but he's not fast. He's not going to get you in between the 220s. Adam Thielen is not going to be worth that much to you. He's not. He's good in the red zone, and he's shifty. And shifty is a word I use when you're not fast anymore. You just have awareness. You have a great 100 IQ and 100 awareness in Madden. But if you got a 70 speed, I'm not putting you on my roster on my Xbox. It's that simple. I can control you. I want your speed. Anyway. But yeah, it's just this weird Bryce Young sucks because they didn't beat the Saints who should win the division. Find me the logic. The Panthers are a work in progress. If anything, they should continue to just suck to get better players. And, as long as he progresses through the season, doesn't have some gruesome injury, you should consider it a success. Anything above that is just great. Like, it's just nice. If they have a winning season, that's awesome. But it's really just, is Bryce Young getting better as the season goes on? Are they building the momentum into next year? If they're not even building momentum, are they at least going to get a good draft pick to maybe have another weapon and another good draft to maybe really come out and have something for a second-year quarterback in Bryce Young?
I'm with you, Cease. Great point about the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, Joe Burrow 2-7, I believe, in his rookie year before he got injured. Tua, we just talked about how good Tua's been. He was benched a lot his rookie year, which is seeming like malpractice right now for a coach to bench Tua, but back then maybe not. I mean, you can even go back to Patrick Mahomes was on the bench. Aaron Rodgers was on the bench the rookie years. It's not expected that you come in and produce right away. It's very rare. And guys like Justin Herbert who do it, that's really good and can mean that you're going to be a good quarterback. It's not the end all be all. So I'm definitely on team. Be patient, especially when you don't have the best team around the guy. If you have a Super Bowl winning roster and a rookie quarterback, which rarely happens, maybe you have different expectations, but that's not what the Panthers are. Not at all. All right, the last game we're going to recap was the last game of the week. The Steelers beat the Browns 26-22. This took some defensive touchdowns by the Steelers to get the job done. It was an ugly game. The only offense for the Steelers was George Pickens, 4 catches, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. He is very, very good receiver. But otherwise, Najee Harris did nothing. Jalen Warren did okay, but that's still not great. And Kenny Pickett, again, not all his fault, but didn't look the greatest. So a lot of things to figure out there. Now for the Browns, Nick Chubb goes out with an injury. A little bit of a situation where a guy had him wrapped up high, but Minkah Fitzpatrick tackled him low. People online will say dirty. I disagree personally, Cease. I think if Minkah Fitzpatrick doesn't try to tackle Nick Chubb there, he's going to be yelled at in the film room of why didn't you try to tackle him? What are you doing? Like, why did you try to tackle him? He was already wrapped up high. You got to go low. That's just when you have a train coming down the tracks like Nick Chubb or Derrick Henry, you have to go low. I get that it sucks and he's injured. I don't think there was any intent there, but sometimes you play for certain organizations and that's how you're going to be seen because that's how it has been in the past. But Deshaun Watson also, biggest story of the night, I think, was he had 2 face mask penalties on stiff arms. Okay, that's great. And then he pushes an official, and then after the game, blamed the defense of why he grabbed their face mask and said, I never touched the official. And this is on top of him not playing very well. I don't think he played as bad as people are making it out on social media. I think he played like a below average game. But you're paying this guy enough money that he should not be having below average games and causing controversy and causing distraction. Everyone knows how we feel about Deshaun Watson, but just having him on a national spotlight show that, like, this dude has problems is so rewarding.
Are you telling me that Deshaun Watson, after there being very clear evidence that something happened, vehemently denies it? Are you telling me that's what happened?
That is what happened on Monday night.
All right.
For legal reasons, I will not say anything further.
Excellent. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a dirty hit either. I mean, that's 100% when you got an all-time, all-world back like Nick Chubb is. I mean, you're not going to just, like, what's he supposed to do? Just sit there and, I mean, how many times have we seen guys try to shoulder tackle these big running backs like Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb, and they look like idiots. He breaks free, and then he runs for a touchdown 40 yards down the field. It happens. Mm-hmm. You go for your legs. It's just an unfortunate, freakish injury that really sucks. It's not like Minkah Fitzpatrick, like, tried to, like, knee his tried to helmet his knee or something crazy, Like, there's nothing in that play that shows that he's trying to intently break his knee. Like, it's gruesome. It's football. I mean, it's just part of it. It sucks when it happens. It sucks, too, because it feels like they're just like the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. I feel like it's kind of the Browns season right there because, I mean, I think Ford will do okay. I think they still have a good offensive line, but, I mean, the Browns were doing okay in this game. Deshaun Watson doesn't do great against the Steelers. And, this is now going to be a Cleveland team that has, there's still a road to make the playoffs. There's still a road for this team to be good. But Deshaun Watson has to become the Deshaun Watson that everyone believes he was in Houston. Mm-hmm. I don't ever watch a Deshaun Watson game when he was with the Houston Texans and go, wow, that guy was elite. This guy's beating a bunch of teams in garbage time, and they still got 4 wins. That's what I saw. But there's this mythical Deshaun Watson that existed in Houston Texans. He hasn't shown up in Cleveland yet. He played, some 2 pretty good defenses. First game was in the rain. We know all that. But now there's no Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb was what you had to worry about in this offense. Deshaun Watson needs to play like a franchise quarterback. If he does, the Browns still have a shot to really win the AFC North right now. With the defense, the way they play, I mean, they can win. They have that shot. I mean, but the Browns and Stefanski, I don't think Deshaun Watson and Stefanski can manage that. I think they have a really talented run game, and now that's going to be lessened, and teams are going to key more in on Deshaun Watson, and it's going to be a struggle for them. Steelers defense looks elite. They look great. Um, Steelers offense looks like a bottom five in the league right now. They signed Allen Robinson, which was supposed to be like their like saving grace, like the holy grail that they got this second key receiver, and I think he has like 3 or 4 catches through 2 weeks for like maybe 50 yards. And I wasn't expecting him to be their best receiver. George Pickens is supposed to be that, but I mean, Pat Fryermuth had 1 reception, I think, for like 3 yards. Najee Harris continues to be terrible. And Kenny Pickett is just pretty much hoping to God that George Pickens catches balls. That's all he. It's really their offense right now. They're just hoping to God that George Pickens can take over a game, and that's not saying much. George Pickens is, I think, good. I think he's above league average. He's a chance to maybe be elite if he really put it all together. But Kenny Pickett's not going to help him get there. And the way this offense for the Steelers is working right now, it's definitely not going to be there. Like I've never seen a team where it's like I'm starting to get the vibe of like the Rex Grossman style Bears. Like that's where I'm starting to feel. But at least they had a good running game, and these guys do not. They have one good receiver, and that's it. But I mean, they've got a good defense. That more importantly, it's not much as just not allowing yards. They're a scoring defense. They're a defense that can get the ball from you, turn over, and score points themselves. I think that's the biggest thing with some defenses. I'm not going to say they're going to give up the least yards or anything like that, but they can score points, and they are aggressive, and we've seen it the last 2 years. They got playmakers. They've got T.J. Watt. They've got Minkah Fitzpatrick, guys who will take it to the house, guys that are on a swivel where that ball pops out, they're going to be ready to try to get it, and they're going to be ready to try to score. So in that regard, really good defense, probably going to be one of the better scoring defenses in the NFL. But their offense is going to get them 7 points, 7 to 10 points a game. There's too much variance in defensive, like, touchdowns to expect the Steelers to do anything. So they're 1-1 on the year, 1-0 in division, but unless Kenny Pickett magically takes a step forward and the line gets better, they don't have a shot.
With you on that, Cease. I do want to say, we're Bengals fans, so it's hard to point out kind of fun things the Steelers do. But the Steelers fans chanting to fire Matt Canada was actually kind of fun. I will say, I think you're right. Like, the offense isn't good enough. I think it's partially on Matt Canada, their offensive coordinator, partially on the fact that their offensive line has not been old Steelers offensive line. The running game can't get going. Kenny Pickett, we told you coming into last season, told everyone, like, this guy is probably not the guy. He could be an okay quarterback. He's never going to be a great quarterback type of thing, right? There's all these things working together. And on top of that, you have Steelers fans who say, like, oh, Deontay Johnson, we hate him. He has drops. And, like, he's a good receiver. He has drops, sure. But, like, he's out for these games, too. So there's, like, so many different things people think is the issue. And, like, it might be time where it's like, hey, Mike Tomlin, hey, we're going to sit you down as ownership. We're going to hire someone specifically for offense. You're still the head coach. Getting rid of Mike Tomlin is probably a mistake, but we need someone to run this offense. We're going to draft you some offensive linemen. Your defense is already ready to go, so you saw that last night. We're going to draft some offensive linemen. We're going to see if Kenny's the guy, and if Kenny's not the guy, we're going to go get a quarterback. It's not just Matt Canada. It is a organizational, from top to bottom type of failure, in my opinion, for that offense. And it's, they can't even be old Steelers football. Like, we were watching, the game last night, and I'm like, they can't even run out this clock on the Browns because they don't have the old Steelers football being able to run it. So that's what I would do. I think a lot of times you want to fire head coaches. Maybe don't fire Mike Tomlin. Maybe just say, hey, we're going to get a different guy to run the offense. You're just going to be defense and motivational guy on for the team. But I don't know. That's just what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, so I mean, he's a motivator. He's gotten the most out of this team the last couple of years where we thought they weren't talented anymore. So there's no shame in him going, I'm not an offensive guy.
Hmm.
There's not like somebody I'm going to hire to replace me, but like find an established offensive coordinator. Some of these head coaches that flame out that were good offensive coordinators, hire them back and tell them, I'm giving you pretty much autonomy over the offense.
Hmm.
Make it your thing. Look at Dick LeBeau when Bill Cowher was there. Dick LeBeau had almost autonomy over everything by the end there. He was it. Like, he was the defense. In the end, they eventually let him go because the NFL evolved. But,
Hmm.
I mean, get somebody who's tenured, somebody that doesn't have to be head coach or is trying to be head coach. Just find a guy who knows offense and knows an offense that can complement the way Mike Tomlin coaches and, make sure this defense is their strength and just get an offense that is league average.
That would be nice for them, Cease. I would say one of those guys who could do it is Todd Haley. Like, he might think there's ghosts in his room, or like that the ownership's tapping his phones, but man, that guy could call an offense. All right.
The paranoia, it's like your uncle at Christmas, man. You got to take the good with the bad, man. You got to take the good with the bad.
That's right. People who are good have some bad to them always. If you're just kind of a blank slate Matt Canada, then yeah, you're just gonna get what you get. So. Let's have some more entertainment. We've seen, let's have Todd Haley come back and have some more entertainment. We can bring back the what's it called, the Pro Bowl house that we talked about all those years ago.
Is Ben McAdoo available? He's got to be somewhere.
At least it'd be fun. Yeah,
Slap a mustache back on that guy and get him back on the field.
absolutely. All right, Cease, that's a recap for week 2. Let's go preview week 3. We'll start it off with our pick of Thursday Night Football. We already mentioned it a couple times. The New York Giants at the San Francisco 49ers. Not looking likely that Saquon's going to play in this one. The 49ers are currently favored by 10 points.
Yeah, give me the 49ers to win and cover. No Saquon Barkley, or Saquon Barkley ankle hanging on by a thread is not looking good for a Giants offense. It's already not great. And, I mean, the Giants defense hasn't really stepped up either. So give me the 49ers to win big.
I mean, most Thursday night games, I always say, like, take the underdog. It's just like a weird week. We saw it last week with the Vikings able to get that backdoor cover. Different situation. 49ers are an elite team, and the Giants, without their best player, I think is a good recipe for the 49ers to be able to cover. And it'll be good for them to get that mini bye for both teams to get back healthy for a couple different positions. All right, Sunday afternoon games, Cease. First one we have up is the Baltimore Ravens, or the Indianapolis Colts at the Baltimore Ravens, the old showdown of the one team who left Baltimore and the team that is currently there. Right now, the line is at 8 points for the Ravens.
I think it's a fair line, especially with Anthony Richardson. Is he up in the air currently in concussion protocol, or has he been cleared?
I have not seen him be cleared yet.
Okay. I think if he plays, I don't love the line because he's a quarterback that can make things happen with his legs a little bit. But I'll be on the safe side here. I'll say the Ravens win, and I'll have them cover. But this is a spread I'd probably stay away from, and especially until I know more about Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, this is a game I don't want to bet, but since we are in the business of picking all the games, I'm going Ravens to win. I think that'll happen somewhat easily. I know they're kind of banged up, and that's part of the reason why I think they'll still win, but like it could be close. Anthony Richardson could play them close. Even Gardner Minshew could get a couple good drives and maybe make it like maybe it's 20 to 13. Well, they still are, that's still a good win for the Ravens, but the Colts are still within that spread. So I'm going Ravens to win and Colts with the points. The next one up, Cease, we have the Denver Broncos at the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 6.5 points.
Yeah, give me the Dolphins to win and cover here. I mean, the Broncos have just looked horrible so far. Their defense is supposed to be decent. It has not been. And, I mean, the Dolphins are rolling right now. So give me the Dolphins to win and cover.
Same here. Like I said earlier, Mike McDaniel, big fan of him. The Broncos, I think, could keep this close at the start of the game. They do have Pat Surtain on that defense, and it can help slow down some things. But eventually the playmakers will take over. They'll win and they'll cover, especially being at home. Next one up, we have the New England Patriots at the New York Jets. The Patriots are favored by 2.5 points on the road.
Yeah, give me the Patriots to win and cover. Belichick has an edge on the Jets. And he's going to pull out. He loves young, inexperienced middling Jets quarterbacks. I think that's his dream. I think that's what he loves more than anything on earth. So he is definitely salivating over this and over Zach Wilson. And yes, I make that sound the way that you think it sounds. But anyway, I think the Patriots win. It's within a field goal. I think the Patriots win. I think they cover. Jets defense is good. I think they maybe make Mac Jones have some issues, but ultimately, if we're talking about teams and coaching and just game planning and just needing to grind it out, I gotta pick Belichick against the Jets by a field goal.
I'm going with the Patriots to win, but with the Jets with the points. And this is, maybe splitting things a little bit too closely. But I think it's going to be a close game, right? Like, we know both quarterbacks won't be great. The defenses should play well. I'm just hesitant to favor the Patriots by 3 points, given their weapons on the road against any team, especially a team like the Jets who have a good defense. So I think the line's just out of whack here. I think the Patriots can still win, but I'll take the Jets with the points. I don't know what to make of that kind of line.
Somebody's waiting on a 2-point conversion to win the game. Let's go.
Heck yeah. Houston Texans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars, this line has moved considerably. Earlier in the day, it was 7.5. It's all the way up to 9.5, Cease.
Wow. This one's moving.
Yeah.
Give me the Texans to lose. The Jaguars are going to win this game, but I'm taking the Texans with 9.5. It's just too big of a spread. I think C.J. Stroud showed he can kind of sling the ball a little bit. Jacksonville's offense has not looked great. They had trouble last week, and they were right with it with the Colts in the end. It was close. Like, the Colts were driving to try to be in position to win that game. So if you're going to give me 9.5 points, I'm going with Houston here.
I'll go with the Jaguars. I think this is one of the games where they try to get right. They've had that tough game against the Chiefs. They stay at home for this one. Playing an inferior opponent, at least we believe they're inferior opponent. I'm still impressed with the Texans overall, but I think I'll take the Jaguars to win and cover. I think they'll be able to do it. All right, the Tennessee Titans at the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are favored by 3 points, Cease.
I'm going to take the Titans. To win and cover here. I think this is going to be one where the Browns are going to have to figure out their identity now a little bit more without Nick Chubb. And, first game without him, rough loss to the Steelers. It's a short week playing on Monday night. That's a lot to overcome. And the Titans have played better than expected at times. They beat the Chargers. And I don't love the Titans right now, but I think they're getting the Browns on a short week off a major injury to probably their most key player on offense. And I think they're going to try to force Deshaun Watson to make some stuff happen. And right now, I don't trust Deshaun Watson to do that. So give me the Titans in a close one.
Same pick here. Titans to win. Titans outright for these picks against the spread too. And I think you're right. I think the heart and soul of the Browns is gone. Deshaun Watson hasn't proven he can kind of find what he used to be. The Titans are a team I don't really like, but I think they're going to be, trying to tackle Derrick Henry, kind of thinking like, wow, we used to have a guy like that, like running the ball like that. Like it's not going to be fun for Browns fans to watch this game, I don't think. Titans still have their problems, specifically they moving the ball downfield through the air. Hopefully Ryan Tannehill can get back to what he used to be doing at least 2-3 years ago, but last year wasn't really good, and so far this year hasn't been the greatest either. The Atlanta Falcons at the Detroit Lions, Cease, and the Lions are favored by 3.
Give me Detroit to win and cover. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a little banged up. They said it was cramping. I don't know, what the extent actually is. Cramping seems very vague, and for the way people are taking it, it doesn't seem like it's just cramping. No David Montgomery, but I think, again, that might be a blessing in disguise. You see what Jahmyr Gibbs can do. And I think the Falcons, if they play like they did last year, this is going to be a very close game again, or played last week against the Packers. But ultimately, I like the Lions. I like their weapons, and I just like what they've been doing overall as a team right now. And I got to go with them at home, winning cover.
Yeah, I'm going with the Lions to win and cover two. I think what you said is right about Jameer Gibbs. Just it could be he has a breakout game. I think the difference here is really the quarterback play. Like, Desmond Ritter cannot make all the throws Jared Goff can make. But Jared Goff got a lot of hate a couple years ago when the Rams traded him. He's played great since then. He's done a great job. I think while Amon-Ra St. Brown might not play, I think he could still make the throws. Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Marvin Jones can all help him out. Sam Laporta. I have the Lions to win and cover. I'm excited to watch this matchup specifically, Cease, because we do get to see these two rookie running backs go up against each other for sure. All right, New Orleans Saints at the Green Bay Packers. The Packers are favored by 2 right now.
Um, Man, this is a weird one. Um, I'm gonna go the Packers to win and cover 2 points at home. Again, good roster. The Saints are, they look like, again, I think they win the division, but Derek Carr didn't look great yesterday. Um, there's parts of New Orleans offense I really like, but there's times where they also, like Derek Carr, just hasn't been putting it together. Their defense is good, not great. It's really a question of, do I trust Derek Carr more than Jordan Love, but I do like Jordan Love's getting Christian Watson back probably. Their defense, it's a rough one. I'm going with the home team here. I don't like this game at all. If you're gambling, I'd stay away, but give me the Packers to win and cover.
Exactly what I was thinking. See, staying away from this one in gambling terms. So I agree with you on that, but I'm going with the Saints for my pick. You're just giving me points. I don't know how to differentiate these teams yet. I'm going to take the points with this one. I'll take them outright too, just because it's so close. But you're right. I think I trust Derek Carr more than Jordan Love. Aaron Jones is banged up. I know Jamal Williams is banged up for New Orleans, but Aaron Jones really helped that team week 1 with those 2 touchdowns. And Christian Watson being back, maybe we'll see how healthy is he. And then all I ever hear from Packers fans is their defensive coordinator is an idiot. Joe Barry needs to be fired. And they didn't score a fourth quarter point last week, so maybe it's the offense too. But if that's what you're selling me, that he's ruining this defense, then I'll trust Derek Carr and to throw those go balls that Jameis Winston wants to see from the bench, and to find Rashid Shaheed, who had a pretty good game last week as well. All right, so the Bills are going to take on the Commanders. The Bills are favored by 6.5 on the road.
Yeah, give me the Bills a win and cover. It's under a touchdown. Commanders had a lot of offensive firepower last week. But I think this is kind of a different league than the Broncos are. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what they see that we don't, but I'm pretty confident in this one. Bills to win and cover 6.5.
Yeah, me too. I'm going Bills because they're a better team, and I'm going to trust that Josh Allen just will not turn over the ball too many times. If he keeps it to under 2 turnovers, they should be able to win and cover. Impressed with what Eric Bieniemy has done on such a short notice, but I don't think you're keeping up with the Bills, so I'll go Bills to win and cover. Now, one of the games I'm probably most excited for of the weekend. It's the Chargers and Vikings. This is a nail in the coffin game. If you go 0-3 in this league, it is very unlikely you're making the playoffs. I'm excited for this because Brandon Staley has had some meltdowns in the second half. The Vikings don't have a great defense. It's going to be fun. Chargers are favored by 1 on the road at the Vikings. Cease.
Yeah, talk about 2 teams that look like, a lot of people expected them to be in the playoffs that are now, you're just going, I mean, the talent is still there. We saw on paper, but Jesus, like they can't win games, especially the Chargers. It's just can't close them out. I'm going to go Chargers to win and cover. They should win the game. But these are 2, hungry, desperate animals out there. I don't trust the Vikings defense at all, so that's another reason why I'm definitely giving the Chargers the edge here. But there's just a good chance that these 2 are tied in the fourth quarter, and I don't know if we just see a bunch of balls keep fumbling out of the end zones or what starts happening, but I think anything and everything is possible here. If you want to throw some money down on a potential overtime, this might be a good game to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going Chargers to win and cover on the road. I think they're just the much more talented team. The Vikings are going through a soft rebuild right now, which will probably turn into a full rebuild this upcoming offseason. So Good team. I mean, we've already talked about the Jets and Giants being teams that or Giants being a team that made the playoffs, and Jets were close last year as being teams that just don't look like they're great either. But this might be a totally different year from last year, which makes it fun. Chargers are win and cover for me. Now, Cease, if you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever, this is the week you say, hey, I'm done watching the 1 o'clock games. Why don't we go to a nice early dinner? I can get back home before the Sunday night game, or even miss the Sunday night game too, based on what the Sunday night game is. But from here on out, the slate's pretty dry. That's partially because there's 4 o'clock games, 4:25 Eastern games. There's also 2 Monday Night Football games, so that's one less game. But also, they're not the greatest games. So let's get started. Get your brownie points in now if you need to get some girlfriend, wife points in, whatever. Carolina Panthers at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 6.5.
Seahawks to win and cover. It's high point spread is a little concerning, but ultimately, I don't see the Panthers making it close.
I don't either. Seahawks win and cover, especially if they're at home. The offense seems like it got back in the right foot this past week, so I'm going Seahawks win and cover. Next one up on these 4 o'clock games, Chicago Bears at the Kansas City Chiefs. We got a Matt Nagy revenge game. He's back with the Chiefs going against the Bears. Chiefs are favored by 13 points.
Holy crap. Oh, man. There it is. So we got our first oh, my God spread of the season.
Yeah.
Chiefs to win and cover. Screw it. The Bears are an absolute dumpster fire. And the Chiefs offense does not look good, but Jesus. I mean, I think you could find a high school team and put Pat Mahomes as the quarterback and they'll give them like a week of practice. I think Pat Mahomes could still win by at least a touchdown in that scenario. Wow. So I think it's real. I mean, he can do it. Give me the Chiefs to win and cover here.
I'm going Chiefs. I'll take the Bears with the points for a couple reasons. One, I think Justin Fields is going to start instinctively running. Like, he's going to be, screw this. If we're going down, if the Titanic's going down, I'm going to go down my way, all right? We're going to be playing the violins on the ship, whatever. I think that'll help them keep it within the spread. We haven't seen the Chiefs' offensive explosion yet. This is the team to do it against, don't get me wrong. But we haven't seen it yet. And I kind of think that maybe the Bears can, I would say, maybe put the best players on the field. So maybe Roschon Johnson gets some more carries here too. So I don't know. I think the Bears can keep it within the 13. And then also the last reason, Cease, this next game has also an absurd spread, and I'm going to take the opposite on that one. So I'm going to pick one team to cover a big spread, one team not to cover. So we got the Cowboys at the Cardinals, completing these 3 great games at 4 p.m. for the NFL. The Cowboys are favored by 12.5 points on the road.
Absolutely. Give me the Cowboys all day. I mean, I'm more confident in them covering that spread than the Chiefs are by a good amount.
Yeah, I mean, the defense will just get it done. So I'm going Cowboys to win and cover there. That's part of the reason why I didn't go with both crazy spreads. It just always seems like that happens. All right, now the Sunday Night Football game. Cease, again, if you're able to get back from dinner, from your brownie points of hanging out with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, you can come back for the Sunday night game, or you can just make it an extended brownie points night. You say, hey, we can watch your favorite reality show, whatever you want to do. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Historical for sure, but after how we've seen these two teams play, maybe a Sunday Night Football game you can miss. The Steelers are favored by 1 on the road.
Give me Steelers to win and cover, I guess. Hey, who did this? What did the NFL? I mean, you know what? Whatever. The 4 o'clock schedule's light. You got 2 Monday night games. I get it. Who the hell made this the Sunday night game? Week 3 was like, I guess 2 big national brands. I see that point, but like, we knew Jimmy Garoppolo was going to be the quarterback, right? And I don't think anyone was really just like Steelers elite team, especially going like early in the season. You know, there's no hype around either of these teams. Mm-hmm. No hype. Like, could be one of the least hyped Sunday night games I've seen in a while. So, yeah, it might be on my television because my ritual, I got to watch the game to fall asleep. But, if halftime comes around, and even if it's, 3-6, which there's a good chance it might be, it's okay to just go to sleep. Because you can read the recap of the 5 offensive positive plays each team had the next morning in about 2 seconds. So, don't need to be there.
Yeah, I get that I'm a sicko. I watch every game, but maybe this is one where I read a book during it, or play some video games on the side, or just change it up. But if you're an average person listening to this show, you don't need. This is probably one that you can skip. You can feel confident about that. I'm going Steelers to win and cover two. That defense is the reason why. Devontae Adams had the concussion. Jacoby Myers has a concussion for the Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo is not good. Josh McDaniels is not a good head coach. I trust the Steelers more. I don't know. Going to Steelers. All right, the first of two Monday Night Football games. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eagles favored by 5.5 points.
I think it's a fair spread for sure. I like the Eagles to win and cover. Having Vontae Maddox out is a blow to their secondary, especially with Mike Evans balls deep, as we say on this show. But ultimately, Eagles are still a really good team. They still have a good offense. Um, I'm as confident as them beating them as I was in the Eagles beating the Vikings. So 5.5, I think, is fair. That's exactly where I probably put it, anywhere between 4.5 and 5.5 points. So give me the Eagles to win and cover.
Same thing here. They'll be able to run the ball, control the clock, and cover the game, and then you just have to worry about A.J. Brown freaking out on the sidelines if he doesn't get the ball. But they should be able to just do it their way and control the clock. All right, the last game of the week, sees the Los Angeles Rams at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals favored by 1.5. Now, if you the line before, actually the line's 2.5 now. Sorry, it's updated 2.5, so we'll go with that. It was 6.5 before Sunday's games, and it moved all the way down to 2.5. Have to think some of that has to do with Bengals' struggles, with the Rams being better than expected, and Joe Burrow possibly sitting out.
Yeah, this is what I'm definitely avoiding regardless out there, Vegas. But so it's the Bengals plus minus 2.5 is the spread, is the line.
Yep.
Man, as it looks right now, as of the recording at 4:30 on a Tuesday, with Joe Burrow's entire status being very up in the air, and it's not looking great, even if he does play. I'm picking the Rams to win and obviously cover outright, win outright. Um, I think the Rams will look a lot better. Going into the season, I thought this would be a game the Bengals would have not that much of a difficult time with, considering what we saw from the Rams last year. But their offense is succeeding, and they're succeeding in the ways the Bengals really suck, which is They're running the ball well, and they're doing a lot of short passes that are moving the chains over and over. And there's also the Aaron Donald factor. That Aaron Donald might just blow up the middle of the Bengals offensive line, and Joe Burrow, if he's out there, or if it's one of the backups of it's Jake Browning, I don't have the confidence in either of those things, considering the health Joe Burrow is, and that it's going to go very well. I think there's going to be a limited Bengals offense with Joe Burrow if he plays. I think there's going to be a lot of protection to try to make sure Aaron Donald doesn't murder him. And it's just not looking good. They are 0-2. I mean, it's starting to look like, it's a must-win kind of game, or they're going to be punting on the season. And it's not a great place to be right now. Maybe we see Joe Burrow get out there and practice. He practices, a couple times this week. But where I'm standing right now, Joe Burrow hobbled or the backup, it's looking scary, and I'm going with the Rams.
I'm going Bengals to win and cover, but I'm with you. I am giving myself an indefinite suspension from betting on Bengals games. It's not one you're going to the casino gambling, going on your apps and gambling for. They don't play up to their talent level early in the season. We'll see if that's just the first two games thing. Zach Taylor has shown, to his credit, we've criticized his play calling, but has shown that he's good at making second half adjustments in his career and also making adjustments within the season. So let's see if he can do that. I'm going to assume Joe Burrow plays because it's a calf injury. I get that the calf's attached to the Achilles. Maybe there's some risk there. But if it's just a calf injury, I feel like you can play through it and just have some pain. We'll see how that works out. But I'm going to assume he plays. I assume everything goes right. And they open up this offense a little bit more. They have, an extra day to prepare. Not over the Rams, just extra day in general to prepare. Hopefully they get that done. And they really need to find a way to get pressure with 4 and stop the run on that defensive line. Defensive line's not been good, so man, I really hope they're able to do it. But I'm with you. I'm not going anywhere near this game. No player props. I'm not doing anything. I don't care. Nothing.
You literally can't with the Bengals right now because you don't even know what the offense is going to look like. It's not functional right now because their offense, like, they can't do what they want to do, which is they want to split, at least have three receivers out there. And, Joe Burrow gets a little time, maybe leave a running back or a tight end in the chip or stay in block. And Joe Burrow can move a little bit. He's not a runner or anything like that, but he can move a little bit. And I think that's been kind of the big thing is this twitchiness has helped this offense in a lot of ways through the last two seasons. He now cannot, in this current state, I don't see how he can move. Then again, Pat Mahomes injured his ankle and it looked pretty bad. And then suddenly he was running for 20 yards the next game, out of the pocket in duress. Ankles and calves aren't the same. I'm not a sports medicine guy, but just from a human being who's run around, I feel like the ankle is worse than the calf. You can correct me, but either way, I feel like if Pat Mahomes can play semi-normal, and then basically Joe Burrow is like, it sounds like he's just completely like incapacitated. I don't really understand that. I don't get what world it is. I've seen a lot of guys strain their calf, I feel like, and I mean in fantasy football in general, and they play somehow. Like I'm not saying the Bengals should play him no matter what. If the doctors are really saying it's something that can long term be really bad, like we're talking like Achilles, I mean, I don't know what the percent chance of that happening is. I mean, I'd rather Joe Burrow sit and this season maybe be gone than Joe Burrow tear his Achilles. 100% of the time. If there's a Bengals fan out there that says, I'd rather risk a 50%, like a 30 to 40% Achilles tear, you're crazy. And I would say, yeah, we're not doing that. But we're talking low, 15 or less percent. I don't know. Like, the Bengals, you want to win. The Bengals do not have a backup plan. Unless the Bengals decide to invest in a backup plan very quickly, which is they're already very far behind on, and a backup quarterback that I can have confidence to win like 2 or 3 games out of like a potential, 4 or 5 game start. I don't know. We don't have an answer right now. I think the Bengals organization doesn't have an answer for us right now. And what I do hate, though, and I'll end with this, is I was at the stadium, and if I hear some random drunk Bengals fan or just uninformed human being say that Joe Burrow got this money and sucks now, because I heard that way too many times at the stadium, I'm going to fight somebody. I will fight another Bengals fan live in the stadium.
Wow.
And that's happening more and more often, as you've seen by some of the viral clips out there. I'll watch out. I'm not going to get headbutted in one shot and be down. Like I can dodge.
All right.
But I just let's just stop it. Like, he got a reasonable injury. He has gotten injured more times than you'd like. Injury prone is a label that's hard to define. But he does get hurt. But for you to like connect the two with the contract is just stupid, unfair, and it just makes us look like the worst fan base possible.
I would agree. I would respect the move if Joe Burrow just decided to quiet quit after getting the money. That'd be fun. But I'm with you. He is not bad. It's just the offense is not called the right way. The offensive line is struggling, and there's a couple different things that have stopped them from being a Super Bowl organization, in my opinion. And that is when they get to the cusp of things, they never go all in. I want to see some more one-year free agents to come in and make an impact so you have some depth. I want to see, hey, we have a backup quarterback who, we never plan on this guy playing, but if someone does get hurt, that we have a guy like Colt McCoy who's available right now, or the Chiefs had Chad Henne those years. He didn't need reps. He didn't need any reps in practice. He could just go in, operate the offense. And last year, we had one receiver go down, and the whole offense just went kaput. We never got a fourth receiver. The Cowboys pick up T.Y. Hilton. He actually produced for him. Like, there's so many of these little things. They just need to get over the hump to make them a championship organization. You can't prevent injuries. They've done a really good job trying to get the offensive line better. I'll give them credit there. They've drafted pretty well. But there's these little things, man. I'm with you. Like, there is no backup plan. You can do the Peyton Manning thing where you're like, if he gets hurt, we're screwed anyway. It doesn't matter. Or you can say, hey, Colt McCoy's out there and costs $2 million. Can he win you 4 games out of 8 while Joe Burrow's out to keep you within it? It's within the picture. Maybe. I mean, it depends on what the schedule looks like, but maybe he could. So that's what you have to think about. For me personally, is does this team or does this organization have the wherewithal to just go that extra mile, to get the depth, to make sure if one offensive lineman goes down this year that we're not in the same spot we were the last 2 years. That's where they're coming up short, even though it is something that's very, very tiny because they've done everything else pretty well. But that's where I'm at. All right, Cease, any final thoughts for the week?
Bengals should probably sign Colt McCoy. Just saying, he's out there. I think it's a smart move regardless of if Joe Burrow is able to play this week or not. I think it's smart to just get somebody in the building that I have some semblance of confidence in making a game competitive and possibly pulling out a win. Because the Bengals have a good roster overall. And, it's Joe Burrow. I get that's where confidence is. And if you're committed to if Joe Burrow is down, that's fine. And we're going to blow up the season and just build in the draft. That's the decision. I don't like that decision, but that's a decision. I don't want, though, this weird we're going to try to compete with Jake Browning and Will Grier. And Joe Burrow's calf, I trust. Whatever I got to do, man. If I got to rip mine out.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So it sounds like we're in a similar place with the Bengals. We'll see how this week goes for the Bengals and all these teams. My turn to remind everyone to like and subscribe on YouTube and also wherever you get your podcast. That helps us out as we're moving along this season. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. We're going to be back next week to recap Week 3, to preview Week 4. For now, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.